Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Dan Levely show. It's kind of weird, little name change, little logo change, but it's still the same show, so it's all the same. But today we do have a very special guest on. We have host of Paranormal, the New Normal, Jeremy Bryant on. So without further ado, here we go. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Just got done recording one of my other paranormal shows. So
So there's more than one.
I'm on 5 podcasts, buddy. I'm a busy man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to have 3, but one kind of dropped out, so now I'm down to 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard maintaining that many podcasts.
Oh, tell me about it. I've been podcasting every day since June 30th without a break.
Oh wow, okay. All right, so like every day, like boom, 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 boom.
Some days have 2 or 3 shows on them.
Oh wow, yeah, it's busy. I have a 5-year-old and I work like 50 hours a week, so it's hard. I get it.
Oh, I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I work full time too. So.
Oh wow, jeez, sleep is not an option for this man.
It lacks sometimes, but I live.
I live. All right, so yeah, go ahead and take a minute or two to tell these people who you are and where they can find you.
Well, I'm Jeremy Bryant, as he said, and you can find me on the best place to find me is Facebook on the Paranormal, the New Normal Facebook group, which has every podcast I'm on, whether it's a show I'm a host or co-host of, or a show I guested on, such as this one. They're all posted. All the links are posted there as they come out. So, best place to find me, best place to contact me. I'm also on Twitter and the Gram as Juggalo Bastard.
Oh, nice. Juggalo. That's like an IC or was it ICP?
Yes.
Yeah, ICP back in the day. Yeah.
Oh, they're still around.
Wow, they're gotta be old.
Oh yeah, I mean, same as Dre, same as Ice Cube, same age.
Yeah. So I guess they can't be that old then, ish, 50-ish, 40-ish.
50-ish, definitely in their 50s.
Yeah, definitely in the 50s. But anyways, go ahead and tell us about Paranormal, the New Normal.
Well, basically, Paranormal. Oh, go ahead.
How did you come up with the name, and what made you decide to do Paranormal?
Well, I've been interested in the paranormal and cryptids in general since I was a kid in elementary school. I mean, I used to go to the library in my school and pick out the one book all the time that had, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, and all the basic cryptids in it, and then there would just be some different stuff I didn't know about, and dogman sightings and all that even back then, and I just fell in love with it, and then I went in and out of it my whole life. I would watch stuff on TV, get back into it, start trying to watch more stuff on TV. And then finally, I started listening to a podcast back in like 2016, 2017 called Monsters Among Us, Derek Hayes' podcast. And that increased my interest in the paranormal more than ever to actually hear real people calling in their sightings and all that. So back in November of this past year, I got on a podcast called Bracket Bastards, and that's what got me into podcasting. It was a group I was in on Facebook, and the head of it, wanted to start a podcast doing the same exact thing, kind of, but just podcast form. So I told them, like, yeah, I'm down. And after we talked for a while, we started doing it, and then everybody on the show kept telling me, like, you need to start your own show too. Like, you have a voice for podcasting. And I'm like, yeah, I'm into the paranormal. I should do a paranormal show. I mean, it's a lot of people are into the paranormal nowadays more than ever, and because of the government actually announcing some stuff being real and whatnot. So, which is where the name comes from, because paranormal is slowly becoming the new normal.
That is true, because for the first time, like in ever, the government is actually showing footages of the UFOs, and they're saying they're not ours. Like, no one's. It's not China's. It's not Russia's. It's not Japan's. It's not ours. So whose is it?
Yeah, which, I mean, the government has been long involved with aliens since before even we went to the moon and all that. There's always been aliens in the government and in ancient civilizations. It's basically been proven at this point. Just no one wants to admit it officially. But and my show is good show because it's about the guest. It's not about me. I always have guests on. I don't ever just
Mhm.
blab for an hour and a half straight because no one wants to hear that. There's enough of those
Right.
out there. There's enough of those podcasts out there. People just tell their theories.
Uh-huh.
So I've had mediums on. I've had paranormal investigators on, psychics. I've had I have a few interesting guests coming up, including hopefully Derek Hayes from Monsters Among Us. Mark
Nice.
Matsky is going to be on in a couple weeks from Small Town Monsters, one of the best
Okay.
paranormal documentary makers companies I've ever seen. And and I have a researcher of the Loch Ness Monster coming on in August, I believe.
Of Nessie?
Yep,
Of Nessie?
she posts on Facebook all the time. She's always out in Scott. She lives out over in that part of the world, and she's always out there trying to capture proof.
Now, they said the Loch Ness monster is in a lake, like Lake Loch Ness. That's how it gets his name, correct?
He's in the Loch Ness monster is in a loch, which
In a
a loch is like a lake. It's a
right,
land enclosed body of water. But
right. So
and
yeah, there have been theories out there of the Loch Ness monster actually being, how do I say this? A sperm whale's erection poking out of the water.
yes, I've heard that theory as well. But there's also, I mean, there could either be because there are caves down there. What if one of these caves actually lets out to the ocean, and this is just a safe environment for this creature to flourish and to raise its young? Because
Hmm.
I mean, if the Loch Ness monster has been seen since ancient times, then obviously it's not the same creature. It's either got to be a family, and they keep reproducing and having more Loch Ness monsters, more
Right.
Nessies coming out the hole every year, or the other. I had an investigator tell me this theory a couple weeks ago, and I actually kind of like it. What if the Loch Ness monster is a ultra terrestrial creature from another dimension, and when people see it, they're just seeing a glimpse of another dimension because maybe the loch is a weak spot,
So like a wormhole type thing.
like a wormhole, but more like a rift, more like a rift in the dimensions, in the dimensional plane, where like many places in the world, it might just be like an easy spot for things to be seen through. Like it's a common belief for shadow people, for a lot of different creatures. I mean, there are people that believe that Bigfoot is an ultra terrestrial creature, and that's why it disappears so easily. Same as dogmen. I mean, it's
Right.
just a lot. There's a lot of creatures that could be the ultra terrestrial theory can go to a lot of things in this world. That's why I don't like it because it seems too easy an answer for everything.
Right. We have here in Michigan, we have, I think it's called the Michigan Wolfman. It's like
The Michigan dogmen. Yep.
Dog Man, yeah. And
Yeah, and Michigan. That's no. I'm thinking of Wisconsin. Well, yeah. Isn't the land between the lakes in Michigan as well, or is
yeah.
that? And that the land between the beast of the land between the lakes is a famous dogman case because there was a story involving a child getting killed by the creature back in the
Yes.
70s or 60s, I think.
Yep. Yep. I've heard about that. Yeah. And they've been sightings of them, I guess. Like, I don't know. I've never seen them. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen an alien. Ghosts? Yeah, I could tell you a story or two about that, but I have never come in contact with an alien or ever seen one or even a UFO.
I've seen a UFO a couple times actually, I believe.
Okay. Are the UFOs are pretty common where you're at?
Well, because I live in the northeast in Massachusetts, yes,
Yeah.
UFOs are very common, especially well, the first time I saw multiple and the first time I saw any was at my now wife, then girlfriend's house in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Okay.
And we were just staying on the back porch, smoking a cigarette before we went in for the night to get the kids to sleep. And all of a sudden, my son says to me, "Why are those clusters? Why are those bunch of stars moving?"
Hmm.
And we look up, and there's 7 or 8 star-looking objects that are moving in one direction together at the same speed and faster than. I mean, everybody knows that stars do not move or rotate in an actual like human's eye. Like you can't
Right.
see it. You'd have to stare at it for hours to see a star move like a quarter of an inch. So, but
True.
these things were moving at a decent speed, and it seemed like they were just up in the sky and they were just going like in space, and who knows how far away they were actually, because they were very tiny. It wasn't like I could actually see an outline of anything, but they
Right.
were all they looked like 7 or 8 stars moving in one direction through the sky. Like that's just the way it looked, and that was the first time I ever saw anything paranormal like related. And as someone who's been into it for 25 plus years, like it was
Hmm.
amazing to finally see something, but also kind of creepy at the same time.
Right.
And also at my house now in a different part of Massachusetts, in more central, north central, near New Hampshire border, we also it's a town called Gardner, and it's known for having UFO sightings. This whole
Okay.
area is, but and we've seen them like just standing outside. We look up in the sky and you'll see things that you don't know what it could be, because it's moving and it's not a star. It's moving, like you could see it with the naked eye moving.
Oh wow.
It's actually believed in this area that they use some kind of metal or mineral in the mountains around here for fuel.
Oh, so they like making fuel off of like the like some kind of metal or something mineral inside your mountains.
Yeah, somehow with beams or however they do it, they must just siphon it out. And
Right.
we're best. We think everybody thinks this area is basically a gas station for them, and they just stop by, refill, and are on their way to wherever th're trying to go. But
Take a little stop and go, a little BP action there.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go. But now you'd have to actually be like really, really naive. I kind of touched. I had a few friends back on the podcast about a couple weeks back, and we were talking about paranormal. And I was thinking, I was just saying that you'd have to be very naive to think that we are the only intelligent life form in the entire universe. There's got to be something else out there.
oh,
I mean,
100%. I mean,
yeah.
100%.
Now,
Look at
do you think that they're like maybe thousands of years more advanced than we are? Because obviously they have to be some kind of more advanced than we are if they're coming here.
well, I mean, there's multiple ways to look at that. I mean, if you look at Mars, there's going to be planets like that too, where the civilizations have come and gone and collapsed already,
Yeah.
before we even crawled out of the caves. And I mean, yes, they did capture what looked like a it looked like a pig on Mars, like a some kind of wild pig on Mars.
Oh,
They
really?
they released. I saw a news article about it a couple weeks ago, and multiple different sources of news covered it. But no, of course, no big news covered it. But I mean, internet
Right.
news.
Right.
And I mean, there's got to be. You'd have to be naive, and you'd have to be a fool to think that there's not, because the possibility with the amount of stars that we know are out there that could contain life alone, if you think we're the only planet that evolved life, then what the hell you think's that? I mean, it's not the way it works.
Right.
Same as on Earth, where there's never a one of anything. In the universe, there's never one of anything. There's always more than one. I
Right.
mean, whether you want to look at it as a species level, or you want to look at it as an individual level, like there has to be more than one.
Right.
And what they are, I don't know. If they are good or bad, probably a mix of both, I'd imagine.
Right.
There could be a intergalactic like group of civilizations that meet, like RUN, or like um Dupe on Futurama. Like I like to point to that one always, but I mean they have to. And what if they think that Earth is just a backwater dirt ball, and that
Right.
they're keeping an eye on us, and they started showing up a lot more when we started playing with nuclear war and nuclear bombs. So
Yeah, there have been footages of some kind of aircraft disarming nuclear bombs, like as like mid-flight, just catching up to it and going pew pew pew, and then the bomb would die.
I have actually never heard of that, but I can
Yeah.
believe it. I can 100% believe it. I mean, if I mean, because they don't want us going to space, and they don't want us to unleash the stuff on their what could be a peaceful entity or a peaceful planet. Like they don't want us to do
Right.
that, because we wouldn't want that if we found out there's aliens. We don't want them to come destroy us. That's been
Right.
mankind's greatest fear about aliens since
Ever.
War of the Worlds. I mean, War of the Worlds sparked that event very much, and then all other sci-fi since it has sparked it some more. I mean, the 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 day the Earth stood still, when
Okay.
when an alien actually came to Earth and said, like, you have it 24 hours, and I'm going to decide if your planet deserves to survive or not.
Right.
Like, that's humans' biggest fear is that aliens will come and destroy us and blow us away, which 10 to 1, they could if they wanted to. And they would have done already probably if a lot of them wanted to. But
Right. I mean, like, why wouldn't they? I mean, like, if they're far more advanced than us, like, why wouldn't they like use this like take us as slaves and take over our world or something like that? Take over Earth? Why wouldn't they do that if they're that much advanced than us?
I mean, there's also cases that have been around Earth forever. Like in, I want to say it was the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
There was a supposedly an alien named Valiant Thor, who was a Norse-looking alien. He looked like a human, but like a Norse person from Finland
Mm-hmm.
or Sweden or one of those countries, and he supposedly stayed in the Pentagon and White House with the president for weeks. There's pictures of the
Just
two of them
chilling.
together, and the daughter of that president at that time. I forget what president it is. I always forget what president it is. I always want to say Eisenhower, but I know I'm
Probably
wrong.
Eisenhower, because he's been linked to a lot of alien activity during his presidency. So I would
I
say Eisenhower,
I mean, I always want to say that, but
or maybe even Nixon. I can see Nixon as just chilling out with an alien. Like, hey, just come hang out.
oh, actually, well, there we go. I'm trying to.
Try
Yeah, it
looking
was
up.
it was Eisenhower. You are right.
Yeah.
It was Eisenhower, and his daughter did like confirmed in books and papers later on that this was actually a true story. And Thor, as the alien was called,
Mm-hmm.
was basically trying to teach them like you can't use atomic war, like it's going to destroy your planet.
Right.
Apparently, they didn't listen, but
Right. Yeah, they've been working on some like nuclear fusion as like an energy source. I believe out in China, they have like a big nuclear fusion reactor that's like just as powerful as the sun. And they're just like, yeah, eventually we're all gonna be using this as energy. That'd be kind of cool.
it would. But
Be
I mean,
very devastating if something bad happened though.
I
Someone made a
actually,
mistake.
yeah, I know the third season of the show I love called Wild Thing. Actually, that's the topic this season is nuclear power,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been interviewing like nuclear physicists who talk about like the way it's going towards that, and they talk about like how they're all hesitant about it because what if someone wants to be bad and play the villain and destroy it on
Mm-hmm.
purpose just to make something horrible happen in a different country?
You always have that button pusher. There's always that one dude or girl, whatever, Karen, Kyle or Karen in a group that's gonna push that button. It's gonna be like, you know what? I could destroy everything right now.
Yeah, which I mean, we also may create Superman. Who the hell knows? But
That'd be cool.
it, it'd be cool. I mean, it'd be nice to have a protector, but I don't know. Yeah, there's so many possibilities for all this stuff that I mean, I always say in my show that paranormal is like there's so many wormholes you can go down with this that you could
Right.
talk for 24 hours straight about paranormal and not run out of things to talk about.
Right. Yeah. I was getting into like some paranormal documentaries, and I ran into a movie about Stan Romniak. You know who that is? A Romanak, whatever.
Romanak, yeah, that does sound
Yeah.
familiar for some reason. I
Like
can't.
he's known as Starseed, and he was
Oh,
apparently had 7 children up in space, like alien children, and they would come visit him from time to time. Now, do you
I
believe this guy's story? Because he's been kind of known as a hoax.
is he still alive or no?
I, I could not answer that question. I don't believe so, but I could be wrong.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I actually just had a guest on my podcast last week who claims she is a star seed, and
Okay.
a guest I interviewed last night says that she's a psychic medium, and she says she talks to alien energies, and she
Oh, really?
con- confirmed the existence of star seeds.
Oh,
So
so star seeds are real.
I tend to believe they are because
Okay.
if aliens have been abducting people for the last 70, 80 years at least, which
Right.
they probably been abducting people for thousands of years, but no one ever reported it because they didn't know what happened. So
Right.
I mean, you would think if they're doing all this, and if you listen to like the Barney and Betty Hill therapy
Hmm.
confessions, they say that they were very interested in their reproductive organs.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they be making children up there to experiment with or to have their own on Earth?
Right.
And I mean, what was I gonna say?
Like try to mix and match, because what if like we have something that aliens don't have, like a reproductive system? Like we can make more of us. Maybe they can't do that. Maybe they're trying to figure out some way to figure out how to make more of themselves, and maybe they're a dying species too. Who knows?
That's a possibility. Or they just, I mean, the psychic I interviewed last night, she also said, and she said that people have alien energies in them sometimes, and when someone, she believes that when someone is a complete narcissist,
Uh-huh.
that they are they are that like an alien energy that's its first time in a human, so that's why it is that way because it thinks it's better than humans.
Right.
And then once she thinks a lot of the most brilliant inventors and scientists in our history have been alien energies that have been on Earth for decades and generations, and they understand how humans work, but they have the intelligence to teach us more.
Right. Right. Yeah, Tony's tuning in. Thank you, Tony, for tuning in. Says last season, the first half of American Horror Story was about aliens, Area 51, Eisenhower, etc. It was pretty cool. Yeah, so Eisenhower has been linked to a lot of UFO alien activity. I believe that famous interview with the alien was
Yeah,
with Eisenhower.
yeah, it was.
That footage that we see a lot. But I don't know.
And
Even that seemed, I don't know, because back in Eisenhower's day, you couldn't see them doing something Hollywood like with like that. I mean, the technology wasn't there, but the alien does not look as if it's real.
well, I mean, but then again, who are we to say what aliens are going to look like? I
That's
mean,
true.
I've heard so many different people say different descriptions of what aliens look like, and that there's going to be more than one species out there, which there definitely is, because we
It had
all
to
know,
be.
everybody knows about the three main ones that people talk about: the Norse, the Greys, and the Reptilians. But
Hmm.
and there's got to be insectoid ones too, I imagine, because they're able to, those type of creatures on Earth are able to survive in more harsh environments. So why wouldn't it be the same for alien species?
Right, like anywhere else. Exactly.
And it's funny, Tony, because you're actually the second person to tell me I need to watch that new season of American Horror Story. It's the only season I haven't seen yet, and the person I not the person that told me about it's like watch the alien half, forget the other half about mermaids or whatever. But I'm like, I gotta watch both. But still,
German lineage relates to Eisenhower. Came from same town in Germany. Nice.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's, I don't know. You'd have to think that, I don't know. You'd there has to be aliens out there. I'm sure they're already here. Maybe some kind of like underwater, like hiding bunker underwater, because they've been
What
seen to come out of the ocean, like the Pacific Ocean, a lot.
Lake Tahoe over in
Yeah.
I think Nevada. There, it's a very close government base,
Hmm.
and they used to do submarine work there on a lake in the middle of Nevada. And they were designing all these submarines. Like I believe the story was they're trying to design submarines that could go invisible. But
That'd be cool. But yeah,
where would they get that technology though?
exactly. There's a lot of stuff that's like, because over the past 100 years, we've advanced in technology like a lot.
Oh God, yeah.
Given for like the past 1,000 years, where fire was it. That was it. We had fire.
Oh yeah. For thousands of years, that's all we had, and then bronze and steel, and slowly we started working our way up towards more stuff, more things. But
Right.
alien. If there's alien civilizations, there's definitely got to be a few at least that are millennia ahead of us.
Right. Exactly. And it's funny that Tony brought up Area 51, because I wanted to ask you about those. There was a scientist that used to work at Area 50 that supposedly worked at Area 51 because being blackballed. I forget his name. I just watched him on Joe Rogan too. Dang it. I forgot his name.
I've heard about.
Uh,
I've heard of a few different scientists that worked at Area 51 over the years,
yeah.
and I actually in the town I used to live in before I lived in Gardner, I had a neighbor who does things with aeronauticals for the government, and
Okay.
he never could talk much about his job. But he did say to me one time I've been he was naming off places he's been to for the government, and he did say I've been to a desert base that people believe exists, but I can't confirm it does or not.
Oh, so he's kind of like hinting towards it, but not really hinting towards it.
Well, because
It
he
was
can't.
Bob Lazar. There you go, Bob
Oh,
Lazar.
I know that name. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Bob Lazar. I've heard about him, and I've heard some of his interviews. But
Mm-hmm.
there's been a bunch of different workers, and there's also been Mirage Men, which are
Mm-hmm.
the successors to the Men in Black. Kind of, they just are more. They're more. They were more better looking for like to be in public than Men in Black because you
Yeah.
see two men walking in black suits, and people are kind of gonna be like, "Oh, it's the Men in Black." But if you see two dad bod guys in their 40s walking around in Hawaiian shirts and shorts, you're not going to think anything of it. You're going to think, oh, it's two dads out having a fun day, whatever. But that's apparently what they look like when they became the Mirage Men, just to
Right.
blend in more. And there's been Mirage Men who came out and said like that the aliens exist, and we've been people who have gotten close to discovering it. We've been working with them and trying to have them help us and telling them to keep quiet about it.
Right. It's like the Men in Black. That would be kind of creepy. Like you just happen to see something, crash into the earth or something like that, and then they just show up out of the blue and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Let me talk to you for a minute. Come over here. Let me talk to you." And then you're gone.
Gone or mind wiped or
Right.
hypnosis, like whatever it takes.
Like the little flashy thing, like the actual Men in Black. I wonder if that's real. You could do that. We could do that right now. I guarantee it. Some scientists out there just go out there flashing people right now.
Yeah, it's possible. I believe. I don't.
Yeah, remember.
According to what the actual people who wore Men in Black have said, though, or wore Mirage Men said, that's not real technology yet.
I want to know when it is because I want one.
I could have used one in my past. I don't know about now. I don't want to erase my life, but back in my past, I would have gladly been like, all right, last night sucked. All right, we're good.
Another guy I wanted to ask you about, another story, another very famous, probably the second most famous one other than the Barney and Betty Hill story, but Travis Walton.
Oh, Fire in the Sky, Travis
Fire
Walton.
in the Sky. Yep. I just watched that movie, and I just watched I think an interview with him that was on YouTube. It was all split up, but
I have never seen the actual movie, but I've heard enough podcasts talk about him that I know the story. I know he's one of the most well-known abduction cases ever, besides Barney and Betty Hill, like you said. And I mean, I've heard so many conflicting opinions about him, though, that like he made parts of it up and falsified a lot of it just to get attention. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to discredit the man if it really happened because I do feel for him if it did, but it's gotta be. I mean, my wife believes she's been abducted too. I bought her a camera for her bedroom because, like I said, her house was in the Bridgewater Triangle before we moved in together, and the Bridgewater Triangle is a very creepy place to begin with. Like, if you know the history of it, but
Google it, guys. If you don't,
Google it. I keep saying I want to get an expert on my show so I can do a full episode about it, but and basically she felt like she'd been abducted, and she felt like she had so. And I told her, all right, well, I bought this camera for a room, and the one night it captured some big, dark-looking creature outside her second-story window on the roof.
What?
And right when it got closer and closer to the window, the camera went out. It went to static. The video went to static.
And moving now.
Well, it was actually a couple months later, but the next day, and this is why she believes she's been abducted multiple times, is because she feels like she didn't sleep at all, or she feels like she doesn't remember going to bed even. And I told her like do the trick that I've heard on other podcasts, like where you wear your pajamas inside out, and then if they're right side out when you wake up, that's a sign you've been abducted because aliens are going to try to put them right side out because that's what they think you're going to do.
Right, exactly. Now I've heard of them just like leaving people in like random spots. Like I've seen cases of them like they pick up numerous people at a time and then they just leave them in like random spots where and the people wake up and have no idea where they're at.
I've
Completely
heard, I've heard stories of that, but I mean, I
just like,
feel
yeah,
like
we're done with you.
I feel like they wouldn't do that though, because that would be giving them away too much. Because
Well,
people,
they just be like, well, you guys are crazy. I don't know how you got here, but you're crazy. We're gonna get you home, type of thing, and then shrug it off. But
I
I could
mean,
see him doing that. I would do it if I was an alien. I'd be picking off people and just be like, "Here, I'm gonna set you over here. Just see if you can find your way home." I'd
that's
make
like
sure they're safe.
that's like playing destroy. That's like playing destroy all humans, and you freaking pick up the humans and just throw them like miles into the sky. Like,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah,
it's very. I mean, with aliens, anything is possible because we know nothing. We literally know nothing.
no,
So
no.
when you can't really know anything, everything is possible until proven otherwise. I
Yeah,
think the
that.
only, I think the only thing that's been proven mainly fake is crop
Mhm.
circles
Yeah,
because most of those have been had people come out and said, yeah, we did them for years, and then they actually showed how they did them.
right,
Which it's to the people who fake those. My hat's off to you because that looks like hours and hours of work just for a hoax.
right. That's a
Like
lot of work.
hours with a piece of wood and rope and just
Mhm.
making sure you step on things in very particular ways and making sure you don't mess up for hours. Otherwise, it would be everybody would know it was a hoax. So
Right.
it's just insane. Like my hats are off to them because I could never put that much energy into trying to play a joke on somebody.
Yeah, just for a hoax, just for clickbait. Yeah, that's messed up. But yeah, do you guys talk? You guys used to talk about ghosts or anything like that, or hauntings? Have you seen ghosts? Have you
Funny you should mention that, but
witnessed
yeah,
it firsthand?
yes, on my show we do talk about. I talk with a lot of paranormal investigators, and I've heard a lot of stories about spirits.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually an episode I did with Night Sky with Wayne or Waza from Night Sky Paranormal in the UK a couple weeks ago, and he makes a habit of going to different places and getting ghosts to move on.
Right.
He he tells a particular story about a ghost called Mr. Grumpy in a church in England, and the church has a very fascinating history with shags or hellhounds.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to hear about that, go listen to that episode. It's very a good one. It's called Meeting Mr. Grumpy, but
Meeting Mr. Grumpy.
and yeah, I try to make my episodes all have somewhat funny names, but because I'm not trying to make fun of people, but I'm just trying to give some humor to it. Because
Right.
you have to with a topic this serious, you have to have some humor. Otherwise, it just would be too much.
Right.
But my house, my first house I ever bought, which is in Gardner, the we had investigators come in back in December because we were well, my wife and her sister were and her father were witnessing and hearing strange things, and I get a little creepy feeling in this house sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually well, I'll get into this in a minute, but last night was kind of crazy. But after my recording got over, and I still had the psychic on the video chat,
Right.
but the residents who built this house back in the '64 or '67, whatever it was, they were a married couple and they still live here.
Oh, so they're still there.
And apparently they like to watch over my kids because they never had kids.
Okay, so it's not like a um.
Oh, it's not like a
I need it.
full.
It's not like I need to move type of thing.
No, it's not a
Okay.
poltergeist or anything like that. That's gonna try to mess with me or cause harm. I mean,
Right.
sometimes there'll be cabinet doors in the kitchens that are open, and my wife will yell at me like, "Why didn't you shut the cabinet?" I'm like, "I didn't go in the cabinet. What are you talking about?" But and the kids can't reach the cabinet, or they have no reason to go in that cabinet. But
Right.
it,
Exactly.
it's just weird stuff sometimes. And actually, last night after I got done recording with the psychic I had on medium, spiritual tutor she is,
Uh huh.
she like the whole time I'm interviewing her, I get this really cold feeling down my back, and I have like a weird feeling in the back of my head, like in my head, like in my brain. I have a weird feeling in my brain, like almost like I could tell something else is going on, but I can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get done, like I'm telling her, like I may hit you up at some point for a full psychic reading because I always wanted to get one, and you're one of the few I've ever met that actually seems very legit.
Right.
And she's like, she was like, okay, well, and then she's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. She's like, do you know a man in his did you ever know a man in his 40s with like a beard? And she gave me more details, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, not that I could think of. She's like, possibly a grandfather or father, and
Hmm.
I'm like, none of my grandfathers ever had beards, and she's like, they did.
Really?
One did when he was younger, and I was like, wait a minute, you may be right. I forgot about that because I never knew him then, obviously, but you may be right. I think I've been told stories about when he had the beard, and like it just was weird. Like basically, it seemed like one of my grandfathers were standing behind me last night, and both passed away in the last like a decade ago.
Oh wow.
So
Yep.
we may have more than just the residents who built this house living, and there may be other ones stopping by to visit. I don't know. I mean, it's
Right.
I
Huh.
after talking to her, I kind of want to open I want to try to learn to open myself up more like spiritually to try to see things and talk to them.
Oh yeah. See now, I've seen. I think what I've had like two encounters, two like really scary encounters. I've had a few more, but two like that's like a real legit encounters. And one of them was what I shared on my on my last episode. Was in a town that I grew up in. Kind of. It was in Freeland, Michigan. It's like 30 minutes away from me now.
Why have I heard of that?
Freeland, Michigan.
I've heard of Freeland. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's got a bunch of twin cities or twin towns everywhere. There's a Freeland in like Pennsylvania and Virginia and stuff like that too. It's weird, but anyways, there was an old bar there that was right off of the Tibbetawasi River, which they used to bootleg alcohol through in like the 19 like during Prohibition in the 1920s. And there was an underground tunnel that went from the bar upstairs down to the basement, and through the basement there was a tunnel that went out to the river where they used to take the barrels and like chuck them in there and then get the alcohol through the into the bar that way. And there was like I was sitting in the lobby by myself with my pitcher of beer, and it was a Monday afternoon, and I was watching ESPN on the big TV. I was the only one back there, and an apparition appeared at the end of the table with me and like cheered me, and then just disappeared. And I was just like, "Oh shit!" And I grabbed my beer and I was like, I ran into the main area, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I looked at the bartender and she's just like, "Oh, so you met Leo?" And I was like, "Oh, so you knew about this, and you gave him a name. You know his name. That's cool. Could have told me."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I never had a full body apparition appear in front of me. I always wanted
No.
that, like full Ghostbusters. I always wanted that.
Yeah. Yep, I've seen it once, and I had an incident when I was like a little kid. There was always a voice telling me to wake up when I was trying to go to sleep. Like, wake up. And I was only seeing like I seen an apparition in my doorway once, and then we ended up moving like 2 months later. We ended up moving into a different house.
Right.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, those are the type of stories I hear all the time where like it's just ghosts trying to get attention. So I mean, that's all they're ever
Hmm.
trying to do. That's all they're ever trying to do 90% of the time is get attention. And
Right.
if they get nasty, if they get poltergeist like and they start throwing things around or trying to harm you,
Hmm.
it's because you're ignoring them for so long. And
Hmm.
they're getting and just like when we're kids and we're trying to get our parents' attention and they don't listen to us, so eventually we do something really bad just to get their attention. It's the
Right.
same. It's the same type of thing. They're just trying to get
Yep.
attention because a lot of them maybe just want companionship or someone to talk to because they don't realize they're dead yet, or they want help moving on and they want you to help them with that, and they're trying to find a person that can do it. Which
Right.
not everybody's gonna be able to do that, of course, but
No.
there are plenty of people out there that can. I've talked to a few people who can and have done it multiple times.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to get back in touch with you. Get some of these people, like a medium or something, or investigator on my show, because that'd be great. I've always wanted to like interview an actual investigator because I've never done it. I've wanted to, but I'm kind of scared because I know that shit follows you home.
Um, sometimes I mean, the one I was talking to last night, she has had spirits follow her home, but they don't bother her. she says there's always a couple spirits in any place she's lived. There's always been a couple spirits at least hanging around,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell her things on a daily basis to help her with other investigations and whatnot. Which I mean, I could definitely recommend some good investigators to you I've talked to. I've even talked to one who has seen the devil 3 times.
Oh wow.
That's my. It's not my most listened to episode, but I think it should be because it's definitely. As an agnostic human being, I went into that very skeptically, and the way he tells it, I almost can't like imagine it being false.
Huh.
And some of the things he mentions, like a place in Bolivia called, God damn it,
Bolivia.
the El Canyon de Padre, or no, El Canyon de Uncle, and
Okay.
they call it Uncle's Canyon. And on the side of it is a 50-foot tall painted devil.
Wow.
And there are tombstones that line the whole top of the canyon on both sides because anybody who goes in there at night doesn't make it out.
So it's
And
like is that like a natural thing, like, or does someone paint the devil on there? Or is it just like a natural? It just appears like.
somebody painted on at some point in honor, but according to him, the natives say that it's been going on for longer than anybody painted it on there. Before it was ever painted on there, it's been going on before that. But
Okay.
they painted it on as a sign of respect and to warn people to stay away.
Okay. Yeah,
But
because
and
if you run into a canyon with the devil on it, you're gonna run.
the funny thing
Not
is
stand.
he was in Bolivia as part of an army brigade,
Yeah.
and they came through the opposite side of the canyon. They didn't see that till they got out. And
Whoa.
like I'm not gonna give all his story away because it's people really should listen to him tell it because it's amazing. But
Right.
yeah, I forget the exact name of that episode, but the guest's name was Christopher Susi, and his stories had me wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally just said holy shit at the end of him telling all 3 stories. So I was like, I can't not believe that. I mean, there's just I can't even try to be a skeptic and like discourage it some ways because I got nothing I can come up with that can make up excuses for what you saw and what you heard.
Right. Yeah. I just want to get in touch with a lot of people like that. That'd be great. But I don't want to take up any more of your time tonight. I know you just got done doing a podcast. Now you're on a guest on my podcast. So I'm
Eh,
gonna let
you got me as long as you want me, bro. I mean, I'm not too worried about it, but
Oh, you're good. We're on time slots. So
okay.
yeah, I have my time strategically mapped out. So yeah, we're running out of
Ah,
time. Sorry.
I know it's all good. It's all good.
But I do want to thank you for coming on. If you ever want to come back on, you're more than welcome. Share some more stories. I'll be glad to have you back. Go ahead, take another minute or two to tell these people um, about your show and where they can follow you at.
Yeah, so feel free to follow Paranormal the New Normal. Oh, and the name of the episode is You, Me, and the Devil Makes Three. But because of three sides of the devil and all that. But and I love that title too though because it's a famous saying, but and a famous it's a Marilyn Manson song. But you can find Paranormal the New Normal on Facebook. I have a group. Everything I do is posted there. I sometimes will give previews of the guests that are coming up if I have the material to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I usually release right now 2 episodes a week, an episode every Saturday, and then a bonus episode every Wednesday, which may be a little shorter sometimes, but it's a bonus episode, so people can't complain. And I also am on another podcast called Bracket Bastards, which is a pop culture tournament podcast where we actually go through a bracket or tournament of 32 every episode. And it's a very fun podcast. There's 6 of us, 7 of us that are regulars and rotate it in and out, but it's a good show. We have very good guests sometimes as well. And the third other major show I do is called Maniacal Musings. It's a challenge each other to listen to different albums every week type thing. And we've been having guests on every week now. So there's 3 albums talked about every week. And it's just a fun podcast to do. And people seem to like it so far. It's kind of got a lot of plays for only having 7 episodes. But that Paranormal the New Normal live streams multiple times a week on Parapost Network. And you can catch Maniacal Musings on there every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern on Parapost Network.
Nice.
And as I said earlier, you can always check out my Twitter and Instagram at Juggalo Bastard, and I have a TikTok at Paranormal the New Normal. And I will be doing Cryptic Crate unboxing videos on there pretty soon because Cryptic Crate is now an official sponsor of Paranormal the New Normal.
Oh, nice. What is Crypto Crate, real quick? What is that?
Cryptid Crate is it's like a loot box, a loot crate, or any of those monthly subscription boxes. But every month you get a t-shirt with really cool cryptid designs on it, cryptids you might not even heard of before. And usually every month has a theme, just like any of those boxes. And you can get books in it. There's been Small Town Monster DVDs in it before. There's pins. There's all different crazy meta artists that have contributed their work to this. Just regular people like you and me who do their own type of artwork, and they like cryptids, so they make cryptid stuff. I mean, I have a Bigfoot spinner that is freaking awesome. One of my favorite things to play with, my Bigfoot fidget spinner.
Fidget spinner. My son loves the fidget spinners. He's been busy for hours.
This one is literally a black Bigfoot on it, and when you spin it, it looks like Bigfoot's walking. It's so cool.
Oh, nice. Oh, but awesome. Thanks for coming on, everyone. The links to everything he just said is down and below in the description. So go check him out, and make sure you like and subscribe to him too, as well as the show. And Jeremy, I want to thank you one more time for coming on. It's been a pleasure, sir.
Of course. I'm glad we could finally work it out.
Hell yeah. Until next time. See you later. And now, next week we are coming back to next Saturday again. We do have Kada, musician, rapper, and co-founder of OMG ENT. Kada's going to drop by. He's going to talk some music, maybe drop a few tracks. Who knows? We don't know yet. We're still in the works on that. But yeah, he will be here next week, July 23rd at 9 p.m. EST. You know the drill. You know what time we're on. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. The new look, of course. Oops, Caught Me Smoking and the DL show will always have a place in my heart. But everyone's asking, why did I change from the DL show to Dan Levely? It wasn't because of the whole DL show movement. It wasn't the whole DL thing on the download thing. It wasn't because of that. Let's just say there was an email that said do something, and I decided to comply with said email, and we're going to leave it at that. So, because I can't say anymore, or else I might get sued. So that's the whole reason why the whole logo is changed and the name is changed in the podcast. And I think it's going to be better this way. We'll work it out. But I do want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for clicking that play button if you're watching live. And of course, we'll see you next week. I love you guys. Stay up. Peace.